Hi, I'm Carla and this is Kim, and today we're working our back in a few back bends. When you are working back bends, please be cautious. If you do have any back issues, really check with your doctor whether it's a beneficial thing for you to do back bends. The back bends we're doing today, some of them have actually been known to help with slight slip discs, but again, you do need to work cautiously and you should rather work in conjunction with a physio when you're doing any of these kinds of back bends with an injured back. Otherwise, they are fabulous. They strengthen you. They make you feel strong. They're part of your core, so it's important to have strong back muscles. And hopefully with a lot of support and the props that we're going to be using today, hopefully you'll get some good back bending in. Right. If you are seated in a cross-legged position or whatever position you are seated in, we're going to come to sit in Virasana. Virasana is what Kim is sitting in. And in Virasana, you want your knees to stay together and your feet to go apart. Initially, when you sit down, you want to try and get to sit flat. However, depending on your knees and your thighs, the tightness in your thighs, you might want to take some support, especially if it's the beginning of your practice. Sitting on a little bit of height is always better. If you do have knee issues and this terrorizes your knees, then rather sit in a cross-legged position if that's better for you. And if your ankles are super tight and the extension of the ankle is so much here that it's unbearable, then take a stack of blankets so that your toes can pop over. Your knees are coming together. When you sit down, you want the outer thigh to descend. The outer thigh cuts down so that the knee stays facing dead center and you're on the head of the shin bone. Outer edges of the feet press down and the outer ankles cut in. Here you can press your fingers on those toe mounds to get the spread of the toes and to get the little toe side to settle. Once you've got the spine extended, bring your hands together in the prayer position. Keeping that lift of the chest, that extension of your spine, just gently let the eyes close. Taking soft inhalations, soft exhalations. With each inhalation, find that tallness in the spine. With each exhalation, have you maintained the outer thigh rolling down, the outer calf presses down. And as you exhale, also draw the abdomen back to the spine. Each inhalation, you lift up your chest, and as you exhale, also bring the shoulder blades into the body so that there's an openness in the chest. You begin class, either just repeating affirmations in this quiet space. You can also make any dedications for your practice, or you can begin with chanting the 3 Oms. Keeping that lift of your chest. On an exhalation, drop your chin down. And then release the hands onto the lap or onto the feet. Lift your head up and open your eyes. To come out of it, you want to come forward onto all fours, and you're going to extend one leg behind you at a time. You don't have to lift the foot off the floor. You just want to extend it up. And we're coming now to sitting in Virasana. You can keep your blanket, but you're going to remove your brick. Keep your brick nearby. Knees are together, and in Vajrasana, so we're coming to Vajrasana. In Vajrasana, the feet come together, and you want to sit each buttock bone on each heel. So here it's a lot easier to get that extension through the front of the calf. You can even move the knee forward so that the length in the calf is there. And we're going to come to a lengthening of the side body. So take your brick next to your right-hand side. You may not need it, but keeping your brick next to you on the flat side, you're going to extend the right side of the body. So with the brick next to your left hand, you're going to take your left hand onto the floor and you're going to stretch that right side up and over. You want to keep your head not coming forward. Keep the head lifted, keep the chest open, and you almost want to turn like you do in Virabhadrasana to look above the arm. Breathe. And as you exhale from this right waist, can you ground the right buttock down? Feel whether that buttock bone is still connected to the heel. On an exhalation, you can bring the arm back and come to sitting just in Vajrasana once more. Removing your brick to the other side. So with the right hand on the brick, don't have the right shoulder coming forward. As you come down, you can bend that elbow and roll that right shoulder back. As you lock that arm, you extend into the fingertips, the palm faces the floor exactly like Parsvakonasana. Breathe. Each inhalation, you're lifting the chest. Each exhalation, you're bringing the shoulder blades into the body and you're turning to look up. Each exhalation, you're grounding that left buttock bone. On an inhalation, lift your chest and up you come. Push into the hand to help you up. Once more, you can release, especially if this is challenging for your ankles and your knees, you can release just on all fours, taking one leg out at a time. So Vajrasana and sitting in Virasana help to, they make the joints in the ankles and the knees pliable, but they also help to extend the quadricep, which is important when you're looking at doing forward bends. Just to warm up the quadriceps, we're going to do a little bit of playing in Natarajasana. So standing near the wall, you just want to extend the quadriceps. So we're not worrying about balance. You're going to take up the leg that's to the middle of the room and you're bringing that foot into the buttock. You want to press that foot into the buttock and you want to roll this top shoulder back. Then try to keep the knees in line with each other. So already you're moving the bent knee back. Keep the standing legs strong. Keep the chest lifted so that you can keep your gaze up and you're trying to bring the heel to the buttock bone. And as you push the heel to the buttock bone, feel that extension in the quadricep. Make sure that your knee stays in the midline and then release and come down. You're going to turn around and do the other side. So with your hand against the wall for balance, you're going to bend up the leg that's to the inside of the room. You keep the knee in the midline and then you start to move it back. You're getting openness in this front quadricep here. You keep pushing the hand and pressing the hand against the foot to bring that heel to the buttock. You can also turn your hand on the foot and really press your whole hand onto the foot here. So get the toes nestled into the wrist even. Get your palm onto the top of the foot, can you? Good, there you go. Yeah, so you're trying as much as possible to get more and more the palm on the top of the foot and you're pressing the foot in and then release and come down. So this is preparation also for Eka Pada Bhujangasana. Right, we're going to now go a little bit more into the classic Natarajasana. So again, not working at balance. You're going to take your foot in your hand. You want to keep your chest lifted and you're kicking the foot away from you. What's going to happen is the knee is going to want to go out to the side. You want to remember how you had it a moment ago in Vajrasana and you're kicking it back in the midline. So when you're ready, bring that foot up, hold the outer ankle now. Get that leg to slide back on this track. Don't allow the knee to roll out. So you're taking that inner thigh and rolling it up. You're still keeping the chest open. So now you're kicking the foot away from the buttock and you're trying to lift this knee as if you want to put it onto a bench. Keep breathing. Each exhalation, try to get the buttock flesh to descend so that you're not getting such a tight pinch in the back. Release whenever you've had enough. In Tadasana, and then you're going to turn around and do the other side. So these are standing to warm up the back, to extend the quadricep. Right. Now, kicking the foot, remember to keep it on its track so the inner thigh has to roll back. You want to keep the lift of the chest, but yet also maintain this length in the buttocks, in the upper buttocks, as you kick the foot back. Kick the foot away and lift the knee and get that tailbone to still try and tuck in a little bit. Don't forget to breathe. It's hard to breathe in back bends. Don't hold the breath. When you've had enough, you release that foot, you come back to Tadasana. Right, we're going to come to the full Natarajasana later on, but for now we're going to come and do those kinds of movements on the floor. So lying on your abdomen. If your pelvis is quite bony, if your hips are quite bony, if your mat is very thin, you're welcome to take a blanket for the pelvis, right? So here you can take your right hand, just in your left hand in front of you, you're coming up onto your elbows. And when you bend your right leg, sorry, up the way. Oh, sorry. When you when you bend your right leg, you don't want to hold it here for too long because your hamstring might get a cramp. But you're going to bend up the right leg and supporting yourself with your left arm, bring your right hand to your right foot. So now we're just pressing as we did at the beginning, getting that heel to come to the buttock, getting a stretch in the quadricep. So we'll come to the deeper back bends. Now we're just working on extending the quadriceps. When you're done there, you can release that foot. Bring the right hand in front of you and press down. Get that extension in the quadricep. So this is half Bhekasana. Move the shoulder away from the ear as much as you can, and you're trying to maintain that length by moving the buttocks down, and then release and come down. So this is exactly what you did on the wall a moment ago. Right, turn your toes under, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, and you're coming to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. In Adho Mukha Svanasana, use this time just to get length in the spine, especially if you struggle with any lower back issues. This Adho Mukha Svanasana should feel quite relieving. You keep breathing here, you hold this pose, and if you are a beginner and these poses are challenging, you can come back to Adho Mukha Svanasana whenever you need to. If it's too challenging of a pose to release in, put your knees on the floor, toes together, come to Adho Mukha Virasana. Adho Mukha Virasana, a nice restorative after back bends. Also, in between your practice, don't hold it for too long. Right, so coming to Adho Mukha Svanasana again, downward facing dog. You can move a little bit back on the mat so that, okay. And from here, you can take bricks if you need to, but we're stepping the right foot forward to come to a lunge. As you step the right foot forward, you're going to keep this right knee over the right ankle, keep the right buttock down, and you're going to come to Anjanei Asana of sorts. So you're going to bring your knee to the floor, keep that right buttock down, turn the toes under, keep the buttock down, lift your arms up off the floor into Anjanei. Anjanei is a back bend, yeah? It's the half moon pose. So to get that crescent moon shape, you want to get that lift of the shoulder blades in, get that openness in the chest, and then open your arms over your head and back. Breathe here as you exhale, release and come down. And you're going to come to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now, step the left foot forward, coming to Anjanei Asana. So first, get your nice lunge, left shin perpendicular to the floor, then extending that right quadricep, turn the shin under. That shin is your foot of the pose. Keep the buttocks low as you come to Anjanei Asana. If it's a challenge for you to keep the arms over your head, you can take a strap at the wrists and use that as leverage to help you to come up. That might also help you to move back a bit more in the back bend. Remember to breathe, lift the chest, and on an exhalation, come down, release. You can remove the strap to come to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. If you have blood pressure issues, don't hold the arms over your head for too long. Now, step the right foot forward, come to a lunge. right shin perpendicular to the floor. You want to keep that heel pressing into the floor and the right toes relaxed. The back leg, can you extend it strongly? Now, in classic Virabhadrasana I, this back foot has to turn. So you can bring the foot in a little bit and turn towards the outer heel. Keep the hips low so that that thigh stays parallel to the floor, and then lift your arms. You can come through onto the knee if you need to, lifting to Virabhadrasana I. Again, if you need a strap, it is nice to sometimes do these poses with a strap, but remember what the strap gave you. Lift your arms up. As you reach up with the arms, descend that right buttock down. Breathe, stomp into the heel, breathe, and as you exhale, release down, back to your lunge, and release to Adho Mukha Svanasana to restore your breath, to stretch out the spine. So these poses are seemingly simple standing poses, but they can be quite strong back bends, Virabhadrasana I. So left foot forward, coming to your lunge. Make sure that that left foot feels supported. The heel is planted firmly. This back foot turns. And once more, keeping the buttocks moving down. If you're a beginner, come up onto your knee first. Come up onto your knee first. Get your balance here. Keep the buttock flesh down, descend to a 90-degree bend. And then once you got your balance, you can choose to take your arms up or not. You keep moving from this left buttock bone to the divider of the left knee. You keep the left toes relaxed by keeping this shin lifted and alert. On an exhalation, release the arms down. Back to your lunge, coming back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And we're having a rest in Adho Mukha Svanasana here. Walk your feet towards your hands, come to standing in Tadasana. Okay. So back bends require good flexibility in the quadriceps, but they also require good strength in the quadriceps, the hamstrings, and the glutes. So we're going to do Utkatasana. And in Utkatasana, you're going to measure the strap from inner armpit line to inner armpit line. And this will hopefully give you a little bit of something to hold a little bit longer and a little bit more alert with the arms. Right, so you can turn to face me. In Utkatasana, if it's impossible for you to keep your knees together, or if it's just so much easier for you to have something to squeeze against, then you're welcome to take a foam between your knees. A folded blanket will do. Utkatasana, we are not going to do too many, but we're going to do them quickly. So inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale. As you exhale, descend the buttocks, draw the abdomen back. Keep your gaze lifted so that you're not dropping down. Descend the buttock flesh away from the back waist. Puff out this back by sucking the abdomen back, and then press into the heels and straighten the legs to come up. On an exhalation, release the arms down. So if the strap was useless to you, or if you want to challenge yourself, you can get rid of it. But because we're going to do a few, keep the equipment, and then we're going to prepare again. When you're ready, Urdhva Hastasana. As you exhale, find that chair behind you. Lift your gaze so that you can keep the chest lifted. Can you draw the abdomen back on an exhalation to keep the back long, and you want the shins to lift so that the weight is to the heels. When you come up, press into the heels and lift shins to straighten the legs. Release the arms on an exhalation. Have a rest. Okay. Utkatasana, with or without the strap. One more time. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale and down you go. As you come down, open the armpit too. So as you lift your chest and descend the buttocks, lift the shins, open the armpits, take the arms behind your head, lock your elbows, breathe, and up you come. Stomp into the heels, release, down. Okay, release your equipment. taking a chair, any chair will do, a bench. If you're in your bedroom, use your bed. You're going to bring your elbows. So we're coming similar to on all fours, Chaturanga. So on your knees, if you need a blanket for your knees, take it. And now take your elbows onto the seat of the chair, the edge of the seat of the chair. If your chair is hard and not upholstered, you're welcome to take a blanket. So with the hands just in the prayer position, here, what we're trying to do is not just catch your breath because it's a nice restorative pose, but to get that length that we were aiming for in Utkatasana. You can rest your head. If it rests on the chair, great. If you want to drop it through, whichever, or you can move your elbows forward or backward. But now feel this openness in the armpits. That openness in the armpits and that openness in the chest largely comes from moving the shoulder blades into the body. So you can see Kim's back is flat here. If you've got this dorsal hump, you need to really work at opening the armpits and bringing those shoulder blades in. Many back bends require arms coming over the head, and that's going to be super challenging for you if you don't get this openness in the armpits. Right. Release whenever you need to. Once you've rested your shoulders, you can take a brick between the hands, and that will help to just get this external rotation. It will also be just that little bit more challenging. So if you do have a shoulder injury, work with caution, but off you go. Elbows on the support. Here, you're opening the armpits. Triceps are cutting in. The outer elbows are grounded, and you're getting that openness in the armpit, but the arms are more at this right angle. So a little bit more challenging, keeping that action of the shoulder blades in to get that chest open. When you've had enough, come out. You're going to release your brick, let go your hands, and come off the chair. Okay. So we're coming back to Natarajasana, right? When you had your arms to the chair, it was preparation for bringing your arms overhead to hold onto your foot. Now, if you're unable to lift this foot high enough and open your armpits enough, and if you're not long enough to hold the foot, we'll take a strap. Okay, so you're going to take the loop around your right foot. We'll stand on the left foot first. And here it's a little bit challenging to work with. You have to work with balance, and you want to also keep the hips in compact and the knee on track. So take your arms over your head, get that nice openness that you had a short while ago. In a back bend, you want to remember to try and create some space in the back. So don't just like scrunch into your back and force it. Lift the shoulder blades, tailbone down, and start to lift up that right leg. As you lift up the right leg, you quickly walk down the strap. You get that lift of the knee back. The knee goes as if you want to put it onto a stool behind you. Good catch. Trying to keep the knee in the midline. I did want to use the wall for balance just now, but I thought I would challenge first. So if you do keep falling over, you can use the wall for balance. And the beauty of being against the wall is suddenly the knee doesn't go out. The knee is held on track, but then you have to get right up to the wall. So taking the arms over your head, get right close into the wall. Stand into the wall, that armpit is open, the elbows pinned back, and then exhale and start to hoist that leg up. If you can do it free, if you've got your balance, then try to balance. You're going to try this over and over before you master it, so just keep practicing. Lift that heel away from the buttock, lift the knee, and even as you back bending, get that buttock flesh to descend, breathe, and then release and come down. You don't have to look up for this one, hey? Okay, your foot may have got a little bit scrunched and squished, so remove the strap, take it to the left foot, and again, you can use the wall. But when you try it this first or the second time, try one of them without the wall to see how you do on balance. Take it around, yeah. Take it around. Yes. All right, so you decide whether you're taking the wall or trying it free to start off with. Keep your gaze at eye level. Look at nothing in particular. So don't stare at anything. If you can keep your gaze at eye level, you can have a better chance of keeping the chest lifted. And then the challenge comes when I lift the knee, the body wants to come forward. There's also the balance challenge. So once you've tried it once, try it again, try it often, and off we go. Getting right up to the wall, you've got your balance, you've got the leg pinned in. So now move into that back bend, lift that knee, walk down the strap as much as you can. Lift the chest, don't roll the eyes up, move the buttocks down, lift the knee. And when you've been there for a few breaths, when you've held it to your capacity, you can release and come down and take a breath. Okay. So these standing poses are challenging. We're going to work on the floor now, and the floor back bends we're going to do are also challenging in the sense because you're having to use your own back muscles to lift yourself away from the floor. So if tomorrow you feel, oh, my back muscles, that's great. You're strengthening the back muscles. As long as you're able to still be mobile, then you really haven't hurt your back. You just worked on strengthening it. So have a blanket to protect your bony bits, and you're going to come to lie on your abdomen. So you can keep your hands next to your chest. We'll begin in Bhujangasana. And in Bhujangasana, the legs stay down. So before you come into a full Bhujangasana, you can do what Kim did, where you lift one leg at a time. And as you lift the one leg, you want to stretch from the front groin to the toes. And once you've released that flesh of the front groin, you settle the tops of the feet. Classic Bhujangasana, the feet are together. However, if you have any back issues, keep the feet apart, maintain that spread across the upper buttock region. So from where babies get those two dimples, you want to release the buttock flesh down. You've got the blanket, feel the pelvis in the floor, and now pushing into the hands, lift your chest, roll the shoulders away from the ears. In Bhujangasana, you're keeping the elbows in, the shoulders are away from the ears, you're not here. So scoop that chest forward, push the floor away from you. Keeping the arms bent here gives you good practice for chaturanga, weight bearing, which you also need for back bends. And then release, and as you exhale, you come down. Bhujangasana is good to warm up the back. And now we're going to take the arms back in line with your buttocks. Yeah. Hands are facing you. We're coming now to Salabhasana, the locust pose. Salabhasana is the same position. You can also put the palms facing up, absolutely, if that's comfortable for you. Salabhasana, you're bringing the chest into the same position as you did for Bhujangasana, and the legs are lifting at the same time. You can practice them separately. So at first, lift the chest, slide the hands towards the legs, and then lift the feet if you can. You're trying to lift the chest and lift the feet simultaneously. You want to breathe. You want to lift them to the same height. Try not to scrunch the back of the neck too much. Just gaze ahead. It's hard to breathe here, but you do want to breathe. And when you've had enough, exhale and release. When you release, can you release any tension in the lower back? Move the buttocks away. If you need to release in a downward facing dog to stretch out the back, also you can do that. Salabhasana is also nice to practice with the strap around the wrists like you were doing in Urvahastasana, because it gives you a little bit of traction and it gives you something to work into. So you measure your strap inner armpit line to inner armpit line or a little bit wider. Sorry, I got the metal bit on your wrist. And from here now, you're going to see, what does that strap give me for my lift of the chest? Lift the chest, inhale, extend the legs, move the buttocks away from the heels. Keep breathing, lift the chest, lift the gaze, breathe, and you hold it for a few seconds, for as long as you're able to continue breathing in the pose, and then release and come down. Strong work for the back, strong work for the glutes and the hamstrings. Right. If you want to release in Adho Mukha Svanasana at any time, downward dog, you can. And from downward facing dog, we're going to come back to the floor. So once you're lying on your abdomen. Makrasana is generally, I think it's quite a challenging pose because you don't want to hurt your neck by using your neck to lift your arms off the floor. So the first one, we're going to do an awkward kind of Salabhasana where you're going to extend your arms in front of you and here lift for Salabhasana. So think of like Superman, lift your legs, lift your arms, stretch up. Think of that openness in the armpits that you had when you were on the chair. Can you try and keep a bit of release in the neck and shoulders and then release and come down? So the chest has to be able to lift itself, right? You're going to interlace the fingers behind the neck. If you have a neck issue, you do have to be super, super careful that you're not using your head to lift your arms. Before you even lift your head, you lift your elbows up, you lift your chest. The head just follows as if it doesn't want to come away from the hands, but the head and the neck are not pushing the hands and the arms up. Breathe. It's hard to balance and breathe, but breathe, and on an exhalation, release and come down. Have a rest. I'm going to do one more Makrasana if you have one in you. Changing the cross of the fingers. And so it might feel a little bit awkward. Again, you want to lift the arms, the head just follows. You want to lift the chest, the head is just nestled in the hands. You're breathing some more. And when you feel that, okay, my back has worked, I'm straining now, I can come down, release. Release to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. In Adho Mukha Svanasana, I was going to say, in Adho Mukha Svanasana, you want to, don't work too hard on fixing the heels down or anything like that. This is the restorative Adho Mukha Svanasana, where you're getting to release the spine. There's that spread in the buttocks, glutes are released. And then when you've been there for a few breaths, you can come down to Adho Mukha Virabhadrasana, knees together, knees apart, toes together, resting here. Rest your elbows also, so we're coming towards the end of our practice. Whenever you do back bends, you should do restorative forward bends. You should also do a few restorative twists just to kind of ease the back, yeah? So we're going to start with our first restorative, lying straight on the floor on your back. And we're doing Urdhva Prasarita Padasana, but we're doing the 90-degree one with a strap, so it's not any abdominal work. On your mat, you want to make sure that the back body is nice and lengthened. Bend your knees, take your feet up to 90 degrees. And once the legs are up, the strap is around the ball of the foot. You can just bring the legs to 90 degrees to stretch them at first. You can also take the strap at the heel. And with the strap at the heel, you are able to maybe get more of that movement of the weight from the heels down to the buttocks. So the legs are stretched, the back is stretched. Feel here, perhaps having the legs together might not be quite as easy and comfortable for you. So play around, take the feet hip distance apart, see what that feels like. If you have arthritic hands, or even if it's just uncomfortable to hold the strap for so long, wrap the fingers around and release here. So here also play around again, take the legs wider, take them as wide as your mat. Feel what the back body feels like, get a nice release in the back waist. Getting some yoga equipment is a really good idea. So a flat bolster is great for this next release, or you can use shoulder balance foams and build up a ledge, or you can use blankets, but you're going to need a lot of blankets and they need to be quite sturdy. So you're going to come up. We're placing the sacrum on the bolster. So we're coming to the exact same pose. You're going to have your head on the floor. If you need a blanket, especially if you do have a neck issue, or if you feel any strain from these back bends after any strain in the neck after these back bends, then you can lie with a blanket for your head and your neck. You can adjust the blanket. You're going to bring the sacrum right from the upper buttock region. That whole sacral region is on. Bend your knees and lift your legs up again. So here it should be easier. The legs are easier to hold. You're not using a strap. And you just want to gently rock the legs from side to side. You can keep the abdomen soft, keep the throat soft. You can keep a slight bend in the knee. You're massaging that upper buttock region, that very lower sacral region on the bolster. You can then also bend your knees to your chest. And with your arms out at your sides, you can also roll a little bit one way, halfway, almost like Jatara Parivartanasana, come back, roll the other way. So you're massaging your back on that bolster just to release the back. Nice gentle twist here. And with the buttocks raised, it's really nice and easy. Okay. With your feet on the floor, you're going to lift up and remove the bolster. Okay, no, stay down. You're going to now take your arms out at your sides in line with your shoulders. So we're coming to that same Jatara Parivartanasana twist, except now we're doing it free. If it feels too soon and your back's not quite ready for a twist, then what you can do is have a bolster to the side of you, so that when you take your legs over, they rest on the bolster. So knees to the chest. And as you exhale, roll yourself to the right. You can rest on the bolster. You can use your right hand to coax that left knee around. If you don't need the bolster, of course, you just rest your shins on the floor. And you're getting this, in this twist position, you're getting a nice release of the left back muscles here, that left glute and quad region. Come back to center. And then again, knees to the chest, drop the knees over to the left. As you come to the left, it's these right muscles that get stretched. This right glute region gets a nice stretch. This is a passive twist. You can use the bolster if you need, or just drop down to the floor. And when you've been there for a few breaths, you're going to roll out, come out of it, and rolling to come up. Our last pose is Supta Virasana. So Supta Virasana is, most people really dislike Supta Virasana, but it's a lovely, lovely pose. And we're going to sit as we did at the beginning of class in Virasana. If you need a brick to sit on, so take a blanket, take however many blankets you need. If you need a brick to sit on, you're going to sit on a brick. Now, if you are sitting on a brick, you might not be able to lie completely flat. Supta means lying down or sleeping. If I take shoulder balance foams, or you can take a flat bolster, and I build up a platform behind Kim, now I've raised the floor to the level of her body. To lie back here would be almost the same as lying flat on the floor. If you're unable to lie flat, a bolster, you're going to lie over the bolster, centered along your spine. Keep the knees together as much as possible. Keep the buttocks tucked under. So use your hands, move the flesh of the buttocks away. Take a blanket support or under the head and the neck. You can turn the palms to face up. Relax across the top shoulder. This is a stretch on the quadriceps, but if you've got a lot of support like this, hopefully it's comfortable for you. For some people, it's impossible. For others, you can lie flat. So Supta Virasana here is a restorative pose where you're resting the legs, quietly close the eyes, let the skin of the face become soft. This is one of the few poses that you can do after eating. So great pose to do, to have in the back of your mind when Christmas is around the corner. Yeah. Lovely, lovely, lovely pose if you can manage it. Again, like I said, if this extension at the top ankle is quite excruciating for some people, and you can put extra blankets from the ankle to the knee so that the foot hangs off the side. If the knee is aching terribly, please reconsider doing this pose. Rather do it with straight legs. And you're trying to get a lovely stretch in the quadricep, nice lift and stretch in the front body. To make it a little bit more active, you can bring your arms over your head. So fold your forearms and taking the upper arm over, upper arm towards the floor, forearms towards the floor, you're getting that openness in the armpit. If you hook your thumb, just stretch the sides of the body. And then release the cross, change to the different cross. So you're only going to hold this pose as long as you can. If it's comfortable for you, hold it for longer. You can hold Supta Virasana 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, no problem. Often used in a pranayama class, very nice to do breathing in this position. Bringing your hands at your sides, using the pressure of your hands, come up. And once again, you're going to release by extending one leg out at a time. As you release each leg, just let the blood flow, let the leg feel free, the knee, the ankle releases. Now, after back bends, it is nice to have a bolster for underneath the knees for your Shavasana. And if a bolster isn't something that you find comfortable, if you don't have one, just take a bunch of blankets, roll them up into a nice big cushion and a blanket for your head. Okay. If you have a chair at home that has an open back, or if you have a bench, another nice way of doing Shavasana for back bends is with your shins on the chair. Those are your two options. We'll show the chair one first. You're going to scoot your butt as close to the chair as possible, bring your shins on, and then have a blanket for your head and your neck. Here, let the knees fall apart, let the feet relax. The weight of the thighs into the hips should release that upper buttock region. And the shape of the legs here means that there's an extension in the back waist. So this is a lovely way of doing Shavasana after back bends. But if you do not have a chair, or if you do not want to have your legs elevated, then have a bolster underneath the knees. The bolster is at the center back knee. It's a half under the thigh, half under the calf, so that the heels are grounded and it doesn't feel like you're lifting those back thighs from the floor too much. Once you're in this position, make sure that you've still got that length in the lumbar spine and that the flesh of upper buttock is still away from the back waist, the same as you had when you were on the chair. So the lower spine might raise a little bit, that's fine, but make sure the buttock flesh is in its place. Relax the shoulders. Relax from the shoulders to the fingertips. Relax from the hips to the toes. With each exhalation, as you exhale, can you feel that back just releasing to the floor? Back of the neck is long. The skin of the face is completely soft. Relax the muscles of the cheeks, the muscles of the mouth. Let the jaw be completely passive. Each exhalation, relax the shoulders more and more. Each exhalation, melt your back into the floor. Each exhalation, you're just trying to release all tension from the body. When you've been in that peaceful Shavasana for a few moments, So that was a real test of Shavasana. In Shavasana, you're trying to keep quiet, keep still, and completely withdraw from the outside world. With your focus on your breath, bring your hands to rest anywhere on your abdomen. On the next breath in, stretch your arms over your head, give your body a long, deep stretch, yawn or sigh the breath out. And then bending your knees, you're just going to lazily roll onto your right side where you're cradling your head in your right arm. The left side of the body is going to pin you in this quiet, surrendered Shavasana state. When you come up, you bring your head up last. You come up almost reluctantly. So pressing your hand into the floor, come up. Once you are seated, you can come to Vajrasana. You can come to Virasana, to Dandasana, whatever position is comfortable for you. Bring the hands back into the prayer position. With eyes closed, bring your focus to your breath. See how the breath touches the body again. Lifting up the spine and opening the chest with each inhalation. With each inhalation, slowly coming back to the present, coming back to your mat. Take a moment here to give thanks for the health and strength of your body. On the next breath in, let the eyes gently flutter open and focus. Namaste. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kim. Sorry for the disruptive Shavasana. See you next time.